protected species and you can go to prison for harming them. But experts say attacks on badgers have seen a sharp increase in East Yorkshire. They blame the badger cull in the southwest of England for creating a culture of killing. Now, you may find some footage we're about to see upsetting in a report from our Rural Affairs correspondent, Lindsay Smith.
Snared and left with horrific injuries, savaged by a baiter's dog, and thrown in a beck to conceal a crime. Some of the scenes witnessed by the East Yorkshire Badger Group of late.
It's settling, and I've been watching it for a number of years now. And
they're so concerned about a growing number of attacks, they asked us not to reveal where we filmed. They fear this healthy set could be targeted.
At the moment, we're very concerned. I think the cull is probably part of the problem of the rising persecution that we're getting, because it's almost as if they've forgotten that the badger is a protected species.
The badger cull in the southwest of England was a controlled event. Marksmen were given licences to shoot badgers in an attempt to control tuberculosis in cattle. Despite protests, almost 2,000 badgers were shot. But the RSPCA say it's not just this culture of killing that's bad for badgers, but these. A crossbreed of dog that's growing in numbers. Part lurcher, part pit bull. These were seized by inspectors.
Of course, sometimes it's not just the one dog, it's more than one dog being chased onto them, and that's what causes a cruel and death as to these animals being taken, as we say, for sport.
The East Yorkshire Badger Protection Group are looking for new members to monitor sets because the law and the threat of a prison sentence doesn't seem to be keeping this species safe.
Well, Lindsay's here in the studio with us now. I mean, is there any evidence that people are killing these badgers to try and stop the spread of TB?
Well, Peter, in most cases it looks very unlikely. The experts who we have spoken to, they're the ones who have the grim task of visiting the scenes of these attacks. So it's their belief that people are attacking badgers purely for pleasure. They say this is proven out by the disruption being done to the habitats and the injuries suffered by the creatures. They're also keen to stress that whatever the reason, badger persecution is a crime. If convicted, an attacker could receive up to 6 months in prison and a fine of up to £5,000 and be banned from keeping their dogs. And some say that isn't enough. Some wildlife organisations are now lobbying to get these punishments increased to a £50,000 fine and 12 months in prison. Peter.
Lindsay, thank you for that. Well, Dominic Dyer is from the Badger Trust, which looks after the welfare of the creatures. I asked him earlier why the attacks had increased so much.
Well, we're very concerned that the badger cull has demonised this species and lots of people are out there killing it. You know, we spoke to the Secretary of State a few weeks ago. We've asked her to make a clear commitment against wildlife crime. The figures speak for themselves. We're seeing badgers being shot, snared, skinned alive, left by the side of the road. Even petrol being poured down their set and set alight. So it's a horrible situation at the moment.
Is the badger cull in the southwest partly to blame by clouding the public's perception of badgers, do you think?
Yes, and the government knows this. They did a research project looking at the risks associated with this policy in secret, which we only got information on through a court case recently. But what they found is that if they went ahead with this policy, the actual persecution of badgers would have increased significantly. That was a risk, and it's proven to be the case, as we're seeing at the moment.
Why would these people kill these creatures, which many think are so cute, and now we're here breeding big dogs to help them?
We've always had a problem with badger baiting, and there's a lot of illegal crime and gambling coming into that area today as well, which is making it worse. But we're seeing, I think, farmers and landowners and gamekeepers increasingly killing badgers illegally as well. And I think just justification for this badger cull, there's no scientific, economic, animal welfare justification, but you have made people fearful of badgers, and then that gives a green light to people who feel they can go out and kill them illegally.
Now, these punishments at the moment, it's £5,000 at 6 months in jail. Does anybody actually ever get caught and get fined that or sent to prison?
Yes, there was a case recently where people got caught using DNA evidence based on RSPCA prosecution. There are badger baiting cases every year that come to court. Not enough people are prosecuted. Not enough people end up in prison for this. But we continue to be vigilant. The Badger Trust, the League Against Cruel Sports, the RSPCA, and all credit to many police forces are working hard to bring wildlife criminals to court.
And in a word, do the punishments need to be tougher?
I think they need to be tougher, and I think we need more vigilance in the countryside. I was speaking at a conference with Chris Packham on that in Derbyshire this weekend, where we've seen some terrible incidents of badger persecution. So everyone must be really looking for this crime and taking action to deal with it.
Very good to talk to you tonight, Dominic. Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Dominic Dyer from the Badger Trust, who've been writing about this one. Tonight we'll have some of your emails and texts tomorrow night at 6:30 as usual. Now, the veteran